Welcome to Founder Talks. I'm here today with Marc Zao-Sanders, the CEO and founder of Filtered Technologies. They are a very exciting software business that is transforming the way employees consume learning content. Marc, welcome to Founder Talks. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do and what Filter does?
I am the CEO and one of the founders of Filtered Technologies. The product that we've built is called Content Intelligence. Because the world of learning content is such a mess, it's disorganized, there's poor metadata, no one knows where stuff is. What we're doing helps people find it. And it benefits clients because it helps them spend better, curate faster, and enhance their learning systems, whether that's an LXP or a learning management system.
Can you give us a sense of the size of the problem that you're seeking to solve?
Yes, massive. The L&D industry is $250 billion. What we're doing touches on, we think, about 10% of that, so it's huge. And if you think about the number of adult knowledge workers in the world, there's 1 billion of those. We are potentially helping every single one of those find the most relevant learning content for them relative to the skills that they want to develop. So it's just a massive, massive problem.
You bring to life what it feels like for a user to use Filter's technology.
It's for people that work in learning and development who are faced with huge amount of content that they don't have a handle on. So we give them an interface and the data to organize that content, understand what they've got, and make better use of it.
You work with some big brands. Tell us
do.
about what you've achieved for those customers.
Big companies, they tend to have a lot of content and years usually of misuse and neglect. So we come in, run the algorithms through the content, understand it better, present insights to them. And it's not just that they're big companies and they're big brands. We tend to be working with people at those companies that want to turn the tide of this disorganization. And that's inspiring.
We're talking about big numbers, 100 billion addressable market, if my maths doesn't fail me. What's the biggest risks and opportunities for you in achieving growth in that market?
I think the biggest risk is that because we're doing something innovative, it requires mindset shifts. So we're not coming into a company and saying, do you want to buy this thing that you already understand? We're having to educate them in the first place, and that's not easy. So that's a big risk to what we're doing. The opportunity, though, is the flip side of that, which is that we are going to revolutionize how learning and development is done.
That's a big opportunity, Marc. Can you give us a sense of the impact that is having with your customers?
Sure. Impact is notoriously difficult to measure and determine in learning, but with what we're doing and establishing the link between skills and content and working out what's relevant and what's not, we can show value very early on in the process. So, there are some clients where we've had, after a couple of months' work, we've demonstrated a 7-figure saving. So it's huge right from the start.
That's amazing for the client. What about the user?
The user benefits, that ultimately we're trying to help the learner. And so if we've tagged content according to the skills that they need to lift up and reskill with, then we're benefiting the end user with whatever learning system that the client has.
Through our partnership, we've introduced you to some of our retail banking relationships. Can you talk about what you're doing for those?
Yeah, Scaling Partners introduced us to a couple of the big retail banks. That's been awesome. So we come along and we run our algorithms through all of that content. We understand their skills, we match them up, we then present them with some insights that are useful to the client immediately and can bring some financial return. And so if you can optimize that and make it more effective, that's a huge benefit to the L&D, Learning and Development Department, as well as end users.
Marc, you've been around for 10 years. Can you give us an example in the context of relationships, how that's been important for your growth?
Yeah, really important in a number of respects. For one thing, doing business is often with relationships, it's with people. So to actually close deals, you need to have good relationships with people. A second thing would be that we get a lot of benefit from knowing the clients and talking to them, having good relationships with them in order to improve the product. If you are empathetic and have good relationships with the clients that you have, or indeed prospects that you have, people in the industry, the whole thing just becomes more holistic, more enjoyable.
It sounds like you're working with your clients to sort of co-develop some of your products.
And they love that, because if you're working in a big corporate, you can't really be in product development. You don't have access to all these different areas of the business. But through a smaller company like ours, they get that access. And that's been really enjoyable, not just for us. It's also enjoyable, I think, for the clients that we work with.
In the last year, you've launched Content Intelligence as a product. It's very, very new and it's growing incredibly fast. Can you tell us what inspired the passion to create this product, to pivot the business towards content intelligence?
We know a lot of large clients and we're talking to them and we're hearing this problem. They got all this content, they can't understand it in terms of skills. So we basically fancied that we could solve this problem, that we could make that link between skills and content. So we got on and built a prototype and developed it and proved it first to ourselves and then to a client or two. And now it's flying off the shelves, and there's just so much interest in what we've done, which has kind of been a holy grail for learning development. And it's awesome to be leading that charge and doing something which is not only innovative and therefore that's fun, but also something which is so demonstrably a client need that we heard from the industry.
What's the hardest thing about being a startup founder?
I don't think there's just one thing. There's a million things. It's the risk, it's the uncertainty, it's the hard work. There's so much that's difficult. But what outweighs all of that is the excitement of carving your own route. So I don't recommend it for everyone. But if you've got that burning ambition to do something which is different, that's what has driven me, and I think drives a lot of other entrepreneurs that want to do their own thing.
What's your ultimate ambition for Filtered?
Ultimately, we really want to establish that link between the skills that people need and the learning content that the world has already created. So, if you just imagine how much better the world would be if everyone spent half an hour learning something that was really going to move the needle for them personally. And we want to play a significant part in that. We think the technology that we've built, Content Intelligence, can do that.
It's clear to me that you're very, very passionate about what you do at Filtered. You're very ambitious. £100 billion opportunity. What advice would you give to someone who is just about to start that journey and set up their own SaaS business?
First, you need to have a really authentic passion for what you're doing. If you don't have that authentic passion, then you're much less likely to be successful. The other thing I would say is find yourself a mentor, business mentor. There'll be so many difficult times in starting a business. You need someone who can give you advice and pick you up in those moments, but also give you advice when things are going really well, so that you really direct your efforts in the right way.
Marc, thanks for joining us on Founder Talks. It's been a pleasure and been great to hear about what Filtered is doing for the learning industry.
John, it's always a pleasure talking to you.